नेचुरली क्या होगा कि वो चीजें टूट जाएंगी, फिर रीफॉर्मेशन होगा, फिर अगर आपने ठीक से मैनेज नहीं किया तो फिर वो डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएंगे, फिर से बनना होगा। इस प्रोसेस में कभी कभी क्या होता है कि एक्स्ट्रा ग्रेनुलेशन टिश्यू फॉर्मेशन हो जाता है जिसकी जरूरत थी नहीं, जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं प्राउड फ्लेश या केलॉइड बोलते हैं। ठीक है, हीलिंग वाला एरिया में होना चाहिए, उसको एबव कभी कभी देखना कुछ एरिया हील हो जाते हैं तो उसके ऊपर में ऐसा गांठ सा बन जाता है और परमानेंट रह जाते हैं। तो दैट इज ड्यू टू इम्प्रॉपर मैनेजमेंट। ग्रेनुलेशन टिश्यू नॉर्मल अमाउंट में ठीक है, एक्स्ट्रा अमाउंट में फॉर्मेशन हो जाए तो इट विल लीड टू फॉर्मेशन ऑफ प्राउड फ्लेश या केलॉइड। In nutshell, granulation tissue क्या है? It is a formation of and accumulation of new connective tissue, new connective tissue cells, and formation of new blood vessels, proliferation of fibroblast at the area of healing, at the area of injury. इसी को बोलते हैं granulation tissue, ठीक है? और anything else?
Thank you.
तो
No, sir.
तो अभी तक हम लोग अबाउट 30 होने को है, 30 हो गए हैं, बल्कि 30 लोग का हो गया है। और आपका टुडे we will discuss a new unit है ना regarding the systemic pathology. So in systemic pathology we will study different systems, the pathological condition of different system. So if I say I am going to discuss pathological conditions of digestive system, that is our today topic, or any system pathological condition. So to know the pathology, it is important that you must have idea about the normal anatomy and physiology. Unless you know the normal anatomy, particularly anatomy, you cannot know the abnormal changes going on. The abnormal change in the structure, जिसको हम लोग lesions बोलते हैं, उसको आप जान ही नहीं सकते हो। Along with physiology is also needed, है ना? अगर if you don't know the normal physiology of a particular organ, of a particular system, it's normal physiological phenomena, how can you say it is acting abnormally? So therefore, before we begin with pathological condition of different system of the body, you must have a fair idea of normal anatomy and physiology of that particular system. These things might have been taught you in your first year in anatomy, but just to recall, we will take some time uh, regarding the histological picture and the function of different part of the digestive system. That is our today topic related to digestive system. Okay. So now I'm going to share the slides. So is it visible to you? Can you see the slides?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So today's topic is pathology of digestive system. So first of all, let me know where you know the different parts of digestive system. Any one of you can enlist the different organs of digestive system and the function of digestive system. A very basic question. Anyone?
अगर ओरल कैविटी से स्टार्ट करें तो सर टीथ, गम्स, सैलिवरी ग्लैंड्स, then oesophagus, then stomach which has three parts, then small intestine which has also three parts, then large intestine categorized into cecum and colon and rectum.
Okay. And the function of digestive system is?
Sir, each organ has different function. For example, teeth function is mainly masticate the food into small particles. Oesophagus, it acts as a tubular organ which connects the oral cavity and the stomach. And stomach has digestive enzymes. Small intestine has also digestive enzymes, and large intestine is mainly yeah, warehouse, storehouse of microorganism and absorption, and then rectum which exhales feces, and salivary glands which parotid, mandibular, and एक और नहीं, इतना ही याद है.
Okay. Anybody can add to this? So this was it is very fundamental thing, है ना? I know most of you know in detail about the function of digestive system and even the anatomy of digestive system. It is very basic thing. Okay. So in digestive system, you are going to study the alimentary canal and the associated structure. So from mouth to anus, this whole tract is called as alimentary canal, and the associated structures are salivary glands, is liver, and the pancreas. So in digestive system, along with the alimentary canal, that is mouth, esophagus, stomach, intestine, you have to also discuss regarding salivary glands, liver, and pancreas. So in the first slide, you can see the digestive tract not includes the alimentary canal, but also the pancreas and the salivary glands. As Rohit was saying, the oral cavity, the different parts of the oral cavity, then the esophagus, and in the ruminants, this compound stomach, reticulum, rumen, omesum, abomasum, the small intestine, the liver, the exocrine part of the pancreas, basically, the large intestine, the rectum, and the anus. And some gut associated lymphoid tissue that is also important regarding tonsils, Peyer's passage, diffuse lymphoid tissues distributed in different parts of the GIT tract. So each and every organ has to be touched either superficially or in deep, but every pathological condition in each and every organ has to be covered. So before I should come to the pathological condition, just you can see this slide and the diagram, a very known structure, first diagram is for a ruminant and the second diagram is a non-ruminant. Same basic structure is there. Starting from the mouth, salivary gland, the esophagus, the stomach, the duodenum, the jejunum, ileum, parts of the large intestine, and lastly the anus. The only difference is in the stomach. In non-ruminants, it is simple stomach, and in the and in the ruminants, it is compound stomach, and almost everything is similar. Regarding the first part of the digestive system, that is the mouth, there are the teeth, there is tongue, there is gums, there are hard palate, there is soft palate, there is lips. So changes in these organs has also to be discussed, not in very deep, but we will discuss the changes in each and every part of the mouth also regarding lips, palate, tongue, teeth, gums. Okay. And if you remember, you first see this diagram. If you remember, if you see the cross section of the alimentary canal in any part, either it is the esophagus or the stomach or the intestine, if you see the cross section, the area from where the food crosses is called as lumen. Very simple. And starting from the lumen to the upper part, we encounter 4 different layers. The first layer is the mucosa or mucous membrane. The second layer is the submucosa. The third layer is the muscular layer. And the uppermost layer is the serosal layer. So towards the lumen is the mucosal layer and upper surface is the serosal layer. This is a simple histological picture of any part of the alimentary canal. These 4 layers is present in every part of the alimentary canal. Mucosal layer, submucosal layer, muscular layer, and this serosal layer. Okay. What make different? The difference is basically seen in the mucosal layer and in the submucosal layer, by which you can differentiate from histological point of view, either it is esophagus or it is stomach or it is small intestine. Even the duodenum, jejunum, ileum can be differentiated, or it is the large intestine. So on the basis of some changes in the mucosa and the submucosa particularly, you can differentiate the histological picture of each part of the alimentary canal, right from the esophagus to the large intestine. But the basic plan remains same. A lumen with 4 layers, mucosa, submucosa, muscular layer and the submucosal layer. So first of all, we will start with the esophagus. First of all, the first part of the alimentary tract is esophagus. So as I was telling you, this 4 layer is common. This 4 layer is common to every part, but the pattern of the mucosa, by seeing only the mucosal layer, you can differentiate that it is not stomach or intestine, it is esophagus. How? Because in stomach, the mucosal folds are present. A very particular folding is present in the mucosa of stomach. And if you remember, presence of villi differentiate a small intestine from the stomach and the large intestine. And in large intestine, it is almost similar to small intestine, where there is no villi, but the crypts of Lavercon are also present in the large intestine. So we'll talk about these organs one by one. So first of all, esophagus is a very basic structure. No additional change in the mucosa. A simple mucosal layer without any glands other than goblet cells. There is no digestive enzyme secreting gland in the esophagus. But you can see 2 nerve plexus in the esophagus that help in movement of the wall of the esophagus and therefore the movement of the food. So if you remember, there are 2 nerve plexus. One is the Orvex plexus and other is the Meissner's plexus. So other than this, almost nothing extraordinary is found in the esophagus. The mucosal layer, as you know, has 3 layers. The mucosa of the alimentary tract has 3 layers. The uppermost cell is the epithelial cell. Next to the epithelium is the lamina propria, and below the lamina propria is found the muscularis mucosa. A thin layer of muscles in the mucosa is called as muscularis mucosa. There are a lot of lymph nodules. There are some ducts and nothing extra. Richly supplied with blood vessels. So a simple structure is of the esophagus. And if you see in the stomach, it can be differentiated with the esophagus by the presence of gastric glands. You know, due to the folds of the mucosa, gastric pits are formed in the stomach. So presence of gastric pits in the mucosal membrane help in differentiating it with the esophagus. And if you see under microscope, you can also observe the gastric glands. So presence of gastric pits and presence of gastric glands help in differentiating stomach with the esophagus. Next is small intestine. You know, it has 3 different parts: duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. So in this slide, you can see the basic plan of intestine. Same 4 layer: mucosal layer, submucosal layer, muscular layer. And you know, the muscular layer is divided into 2 parts: circular muscles and the longitudinal muscles. But in a small intestine, some peculiar things is present. One most important thing is the finger-like projection of the mucosal membrane that we call as villi. And other important thing is the presence of Peyer's patches, which is a part of immune system. Okay. So you see in this diagram, you can see you can see the mucosa has finger-like projections. These are finger-like projections, which is called as villi. And in between the villi, these valleys are called as crypts of Laverpun or simply intestinal crypts. The epithelial cells of crypts contain glands secreting most of the enzymes. Okay. You can also see the presence of PS patches. PS patches in the intestine. So intestine is characterized by presence of villi, intestinal crypt. Two important things is present in the. This diagram is also of a stomach where you can see a very good demonstration of the different layers. Here you can see the gastric pit. Okay, this is the gastric pit. This is the fold of the mucosa, and from the gastric pits, the enzymes formed by the gastric glands come out in the lumen. So you can see a very good picture. The epithelial cells are simple columnar epithelial cells, simple columnar cells. Next to is the lamina propria, very clearly visible. And you also see the thin layer of muscles in the mucosa that is called as musculus mucosa. Here is the submucosal layer where you can see a lot of nerve plexus and blood vessels. And next is the muscular layer, circular, and the longitudinal muscles are present. And at the last, there is the presence of serosa. So this picture is very good to understand the different histology of different part of the different layer of the stomach or even intestine also. Okay. So it is must to know in a very clear manner that every part of the digestive tract, their histological picture and also their function. This photograph I have taken from net, and you can see the presence of Brunner's gland. If in the histology macroscopic view you are viewing Brunner's gland, there is presence of Brunner's glands in the submucosa. No doubt it will be the part of the duodenum. Okay. In similar way, you can differentiate the different part of the small intestine also. You can see also here, this is the gut, this is the lumen, this is the mucosal layer. It is a part of the intestine. In the lumen of intestine, we receive secretions from the liver and pancreas also. The liver secretions, that is the bile, and the pancreatic secretions, that is trypsin-like enzymes, they all come in the lumen of a small intestine, help in digestive process. These airway plexus, these Meissner's plexus control the movement and secretion of the alimentary tract. This muscularis mucosa help in supporting the mucous membrane. PS patches help in ileum, particularly the PS patches, which is also called as abdominal tonsils. They help to fight infections. So all these names you are going to see when you have a detailed description of pathological condition. In this diagram, a very good picture showing the different differentiation in the mucosal layer. In esophagus, it is very simple. In stomach, you can see the folds, mucosal folds. In intestine, you can see the finger-like projection, the villi. In large intestine, you can see the absence of those villi, but lot of globules. So this was all about a basic histological picture of the different part of the digestive system. We will deal in separate the salivary gland and the liver and the pancreas. It was all about the alimentary canal. The histology of liver will be dealt after on. Pancreas will be dealt after on. Today we will discuss basically the alimentary canal. Up to this, if you have any doubt, if you have any question, you can discuss. All those things that you have read in the general pathology, particularly the inflammation portion, that is going to be implemented in the systemic pathology. अगर आपका जनरल पैथोलॉजी बहुत अच्छा होगा तो आपको सिस्टमिक पैथोलॉजी पढ़ने में सिर्फ 25% इनपुट देने होंगे, इससे ज़्यादा आपको मेहनत नहीं लगेगा। द कंडीशन इज दैट जनरल पैथोलॉजी आपने बहुत अच्छे से पढ़ा हो, पार्टिकुलरली दिस इन्फ्लेमेशन वाला पोर्शन। सिस्टमिक पैथोलॉजी आपका बहुत आसान हो जाएगा, ठीक है। सो इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन यू कैन टेक बिफोर आई शुड देन। So first of all we'll start with the oral cavity, ठीक है। So if you remember, oral cavity is technically called as stoma. It is very similar to stomata, है ना? The opening of the tiny pores of the underleaf of the plant leaf has also stomata. So there also we called stoma for openings. In the similar way, the oral cavity is also called as stoma. So I was talking about the pathology of the oral cavity. So oral cavity is technically called as stoma. So inflammation, you know, ITIS term as a suffix is used for inflammatory process. So if I say stomatitis, it is the inflammatory condition of the stoma. Stoma means mouth, oral cavity. So stomatitis is the inflammation of mucous membrane of oral cavity. Okay, but in this oral cavity, tonsils भी हो सकते हैं, palates हो सकते हैं. In the histology, I have shown you the different parts of the mouth. It may be gums, it may be tongue, it may be lips, tonsils or palates. So if the gum is inflamed, it is called as gingivitis. You know, gingiva is the technical term for gums. So the inflammation of the gums will be called as gingivitis. Glossa is the technical term for the tongue. Therefore, the inflammation of tongue will be called as glossitis. Inflammation of lips is called as chilitis. Tonsillitis is for inflammation of tonsils, and palatitis, or more common term, is lampas. So inflammation of hard palate is called as lampas. So in gums there can be inflammatory process in tongue, lips, tonsils and palates, and according to their technical term you have to just add itis as a suffix and it will create the technical term like gingivitis, glossitis, chilitis, tonsillitis and palatitis. So these are the technical terms for inflammation. Other than this, there are some other terms which is not a basically inflammatory process. Say for example, cleft palate. You know cleft palate? You know the role of the hard palate? Anyone? ये जरूरी है, ठीक है? It creates a partition between the nasal cavity and the oral cavity. So when there will be cleft in the palate, hard palate में अगर कोई cleft हो जाए, तो जो आप खाएंगे that may go to the nasal cavity. और nasal cavity में जाने के बाद there is lot of chances that can enter into the lower respiratory tract and cause severe lung problem, है ना? तो कभी-कभी इनबॉर्न कंजेनाइटल डिफेक्ट होते हैं, द पैलेट्स में एक क्लेफ्ट होता है, हार्ड पैलेट में क्लेफ्ट हो जाता है, so that there is a communication between the nasal and the oral cavity, that is called as cleft palate. उसको टेक्निकली बोलते हैं पैलेटोस्काइसिस, ठीक है? ये भी टर्म याद रखिएगा रिगार्डिंग पैलेट्स. लैम्पास सिनोनिम हो गया एंड पैलेटोस्काइसिस इज द क्लेफ्ट इन द पैलेट. और एक दो लाइन अगर आपको लिखना पड़े रिगार्डिंग पैलेटोस्काइसिस यू कैन राइट, ठीक है? अब क्या है, व्हेन यू डिस्क्राइब द इन्फ्लेमेशन ऑफ एनी ऑर्गन, आपसे ये पूछा जाता है व्हाट विल द मैक्रोस्कोपिक फीचर एंड द माइक्रोस्कोपिक फीचर ऑफ दैट पार्टिकुलर एरिया. जैसे मैं कह रहा हूँ स्टोमेटाइटिस हो गया, राइट ए शॉर्ट नोट regarding stomatitis. So first of all you have to define it. You have to show the different inflammation, the different parts of the oral cavity, and thereafter you have to show the macroscopic picture and also the microscopic picture. So if you tell it is a catarrhal type of stomatitis, so you know catarrhal term stands for the mucus that is secreted by the goblet cells. So if it is catarrhal stomatitis, simple इसको थोड़ा-सा आप कोरिलेट कीजिए इन्फ्लेमेशन से जो हमने पढ़ा था। मैंने आपको वहाँ पे बार-बार बताया था कैटरल इन्फ्लेमेशन इट मीन्स प्रेजेंस ऑफ म्यूकस, ठीक है? अब मैं इसको डिटेल नहीं कह रहा, सिंपली आपसे ये कह रहा हूँ कि राइट ए शॉर्ट नोट ऑन कैटरल स्टोमेटाइटिस। तो स्टोमेटाइटिस अभी आपने सीख लिया डिफरेंट पार्ट्स। अब जो मैं कह रहा था कैटरल स्टोमेटाइटिस, मैं आपको कैटर पढ़ाऊँ या नहीं पढ़ाऊँ, यू कैन राइट सिंपली ऑन द बेस ऑफ योर इन्फ्लेमेशन दैट यू रेड इन द प्रीवियस यूनिट। कैटरल में क्या होगा? गॉबलेट सेल्स का हाइपरप्लेशिया होगा, हाइपरट्रॉफी होगा। गॉबलेट सेल्स आर रिस्पांसिबल फॉर प्रोडक्शन ऑफ म्यूकस। तो आप यही सब चीजें दिखाने होंगे। देयर विल बी प्रोफ्यूज एक्सुडेशन ऑफ म्यूकस। म्यूकस कंसिस्टेंसी इज अ डिफरेंट कंसिस्टेंसी फ्रॉम द सीरस। तो म्यूकस का एक्सुडेशन इन द ओरल कैविटी इज कॉल्ड एज कैटरल स्टोमेटाइटिस। और अगर मैं कहूँ कि माइक्रोस्कोपिक पिक्चर लिखना है तो यू कैन राइट, क्या लिख सकते हैं कि देयर विल बी द hypertrophy and hyperplasia of the goblet cells. And another thing is that if there is inflammation, there will be the events of inflammation, that is the cellular event and the vascular events. तो vascular events में क्या होंगे? blood vessels के changes। और cellular events में क्या होंगे? different inflammatory cells का पहुंचना। तो सारी चीज आपको लिखने होंगे वहाँ पे। आपको लिखना होगा कि the blood vessels are filled with the blood, सारे blood vessels में खून भर चुके हैं, ठीक है? That is called as congestion, technically that is called as congestion। उसके बाद आपको लिखना होगा द प्रेजेंस ऑफ इन्फ्लेमेटरी सेल्स, particularly the neutrophils in the initial। आप जानते हैं कि in the initial duration there are the neutrophils and after some time about 3 to 4 days there will be the presence of macrophages। इसी यही चीजों को आपको अपने तरीके से लिखते चलिए। छोटा पूछा गया नो डाउट, बड़ा भी पूछा गया तो भी कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है, आपको बड़ा भी लिख सकते हैं। सारा इन्फ्लेमेटरी प्रोसेस को जो आपने समझा यहाँ पे लिखते चले जाइए। मैं अब जिसे कैटरल के लिए कह रहा था, इफ आई आस्क यू फिब्रिनस स्टोमेटाइटिस, तो आप जानते हैं फिब्रिन क्या है? प्रोटीन के धागे। तो ये आपको लिखना होगा दिस फिब्रिन कब बनते हैं, ऐसा एक्सुडेशन कब होता है? जब इन्फ्लेमेटरी बहुत ही सीवियर प्रोसेस होता है। फिब्रिनस इन्फ्लेमेशन बहुत ही सीवियर कंडीशन को डिनोट करता है। यही सब चीजों को लिखना होगा। सो इन फिब्रिनस स्टोमेटाइटिस यू हैव टू राइट इट इज ड्यू टू वेरी सीवियर एजेंट। जो एजेंट रिस्पॉन्सिबल है बहुत ही सीवियर है। एंड फिब्रिन आर द threads, thin threads of the protein which are which are formed from the fibrinogen, ये लिखने होंगे। एंड द फिब्रिन जब एक्युमुलेशन हो जाता है कहीं पे, किसी ऑर्गन पे जब जमा हो जाता है, तो उसका जो ग्रॉस अपीयरेंस होगा उसमें थीन सीट लाइक अपीयरेंस आएगा प्रोटीन के जमा होने से, एंड दैट विल अपीयर लाइट येलोइश। तो आप लिखना होगा कि द एरिया वाज अपीयरिंग लाइट येलोइश, a thin sheet of light yellow membrane was found over the oral mucosa। तो उससे पता हो जाएगा कि आप फिब्रिन की बातें कर रहे हो, ठीक है? ठीक है? उस हर चीज को आपको यूज कर लेंगे तो आपको ये माइक्रोस्कोपिक पिक्चर और माइक्रोस्कोपिक फीचर मुझे अलग से पढ़ाने की जरूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी। कुछ टर्म्स होंगे जो पहली बार आप सुनेंगे, जैसे वेसिकल्स। वेसिकल्स भी ऐसा नहीं है कि इसको आपने जनरल पैथोलॉजी में नहीं पढ़ा होगा। वेसिकल्स क्या है? एक कैविटी है दैट इज फिल्ड विद द क्लियर फ्लूइड। जब तक उसमें पस नहीं होता तब तक वो वेसिकल्स होता है। तो मैं कहूँ कि वेसिकल्स इन द ओरल म्यूकोसा, तो आप उसको डिस्क्राइब कर सकते हैं। इरोजन्स, इरोजन्स क्या होते हैं कि मैंने बताया कि जो म्यूकोस मेम्ब्रेन होते हैं उसके 3 लेयर होते हैं, एपिथेलियल, लैमिना प्रोप्रिया और नीचे मस्कुलर लेयर हो सकता है। तो अगर सिर्फ उसका एपिथेलियल लेयर लॉस हो रहा है, सुपरफिशियल लॉस हो रहा है, तो उसको हम लोग बोलते हैं इरोजन्स। अगर वो इरोजन्स इतना बढ़ जाए आगे कि म्यूकोसा और सब म्यूकोसा में एक कम्युनिकेशन सेटअप हो जाए, तो उसको फिर हम बोलेंगे अल्सर। तो इरोजन और अल्सर में बारीक सा डिफरेंस है। इन इरोजन द सुपरफिशियल एपिथेलियल लेयर इज लॉस्ट, एंड इन अल्सर ये अल्सर इतना सीवियर फॉर्म ऑफ इरोजन का है, ऑल द लेयर ऑफ द म्यूकस इज रिमूव्ड एट ए पर्टिकुलर एरिया एंड ए क्लियर कम्युनिकेशन बिटवीन द म्यूकस मेम्ब्रेन एंड द सबम्यूकोसा इज सेटअप, उसको हम बोलेंगे अल्सर। तो अगर मैं कहूँ अल्सरेटिव स्टोमेटाइटिस, तो आप सब कुछ लिख सकते हो। अल्सर मैंने बता दिया, इन्फ्लेमेटरी प्रोसेस जानते हैं, स्टोमा का मतलब जानते हैं, ठीक है? इन दिस वे आप सारा का सारा फ्रेम कर सकते हैं अगर आपका जनरल पैथोलॉजी पे अच्छा कमांड है, ठीक है? अभी कट जाएगा कुछ सेकंड्स में। सो इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन, कुछ डिस्कस करना चाहो तो कर लो, हम लोग फिर जुड़ेंगे इसी लिंक से। कुछ सेकंड रह गया है 40 मिनट्स में, सो यू कैन डिस्कस।